Hello and thank you for joining me on another episode on my Devlog series. Now let's get started. Well, it seems like I lied to you in my previous vlog, but I'm extremely happy that I managed to spare enough time to make this video and keep you up to date with my progress. In my previous episode, I finished the inventory system along with the crafting process for my game. On the way, I also showed you a mistake that can happen if you don't document yourself enough about the engine you work on. I added some items to the game, a little randomization to the crafting system, and made some amazingly bad illustrations about the way I store items. If you haven't checked my previous video yet, I highly recommend you do so to have a better understanding of what is going on in these videos. Now, for this video, let's see what I've got in store. As stated in my previous video, as I progress with the development, I noticed multiple mistakes my past me made. Although for this week I do not have a particular mistake to highlight aside from plenty of structural mistakes, I do have something that you can consider as some sort of development rule that you definitely should try to not break. Ever. Never ever reinvent the wheel. That is, never implement something that is super common in video games because someone definitely already done that before you, and chances are you will find all the resources online for free. You might wonder, how can you know what has already been implemented and what not? And for that, I don't have a clear answer as it's very relative. But in general, a quick search on Google will give you enough information to know if you should or should not implement that code you wanted to implement so badly. Although I am a purist myself and very rarely like to use other people's code unless it's very well structured, things such as character movement, character control, camera movement are very basic functionalities that even a purist such as myself or maybe even yourself can easily use without any complications during integration. I also made this mistake very early during development because I wanted to implement random movement to my character and use it only as a placeholder. Because it was a placeholder, I shouldn't have invested so much time in the movement, but instead I should have downloaded some basic movement scripts and used those without the randomization instead. I should also keep this rule in mind and definitely stop wanting to implement everything from scratch. I hope you found this helpful, but now let's see what progress I've made with the development. In this session, my plan was to implement the customers with as basic features as possible. They are supposed to come to the shop to buy items from you, and afterwards they should leave the shop. That's it. That is when I realized the previously mentioned mistake. I couldn't really reuse the movement script I made, although its core idea was the same, to move a character. After I spent some time using the code I already made to simply test the animations, I realized that the current movement script will not work in many cases, but mainly it will not work if there were obstacles in the path of my character. Even then, my first thought was to simply implement a better character movement script without any pathfinding algorithms and such, but I quickly found myself having quite a few problems. As you can see, the general idea of simply moving the unit towards its goal, in our case the table, wasn't a simple solution. Cases where something blocked the path of my unit ruined the whole movement by blocking the character forever. For that, of course, I had an easy fix, which looked something like this. Pretty nice, eh? No, not really. This is when I realized that it can't go on like this. So I looked around the amazing internet for answers and found a video from Brackeys that was a tutorial about a pathfinding algorithm. Exactly what I needed. I downloaded the so-called A-star pathfinding algorithm package, watched 30 minutes of Brachy's tutorials, to which I will have a link in the description below, and after 30 more minutes of integrating and fine-tuning, I got this. In the bottom screen you can see the pathfinding algorithm at work, and above is the actual game view. Now this is pretty neat, right? Truth is, it took more than 30 minutes to integrate for two simple reasons. Me being dumb, and me realizing how fun it is to do this. This was caused by me forgetting to log the rotation of my characters as well as applying a force to them without having any friction. Perfect way to spend precious development time, right? After enough fooling around, I wanted to make a basic queuing system. But then again, we already know what happens when you want to do something fast as a developer. It just doesn't work. So I gave up on it for now and started something different. I wanted my customers to somehow signal their intentions when they reach the queue, so the first thing I wanted to make is to somehow display that they are waiting in the queue. I searched for a chat bubble online and used it as a reference to pixelate it with my amazing skills. Although it took quite some time, I'm very happy with how it turned out. After that, I dragged the sprites in Unity and added a small animation to them. When I was done, I just added the animated bubble to the customer. He now looked very impatient, but that was exactly what I wanted. First, the customer was always impatient, but I made some adjustments to the movement code so that he only showed the waiting bubble when he reached the table. With all this being done, I was almost ready with the basic behavior of a customer that I planned to have. All I needed was to create a buy request for the customer and I was good to go. For that, I needed two things. First, a container, that is a view that was displayed on the screen with details about what exactly the customer wanted to purchase. To achieve that, I documented myself a little regarding UI elements and ended up using a panel because that made most sense for me. After I had settled with the container type, I just added elements on it that would hold the data related to the request made by the customer. Second, I needed some way to store the actual contents that would go into this container. These would be the item that the customer wants to buy and a short description of what exactly the customer wants and why. For that, as you probably already guessed, I again used the amazing scriptable objects from Unity because I consider those perfect for storing this kind of information. After making a few different request scenarios, I implemented it so that a random one was assigned to a customer when they spawned and made it so the OK button only showed up whenever you had the item requested in your inventory. Also, when you pressed the OK button, you accepted the trade and it removed the item from your inventory before making the customer leave the shop. In case of pressing cancel, the customer simply left. Before ending today's development session, there's one extremely important thing to do. Save my work, of course. I just want to point out that these are just really basic implementations of the trading system. I have many ideas of improving it and give it more depth, but that will be done in the following sessions. I am really happy to have taken the time to make this video and share it with you guys and hope you enjoyed it as well. I didn't expect to have time to make it. On the other hand, my next video will probably be only in 1 month's time because of time constraints, but I will definitely let you know about my progress in the discussion panel of my channel. Until next time, stay safe and consider watching and sharing my other videos with your friends. Bye bye.